We are now on the air.
We're talking live?
We sure are. Check. We're still getting the sound check here. Bear with us. Yes, the REENO Show featuring special guest Ben Cenac, a.k.a. Cozmo D. What's up?
Yo, what up, yo?
All right. Finally, he's here.
Yep.
There's been a lot of talk about this for some weeks now. Everybody was getting their blood flowing and the juices going, and it's here.
Yep.
And it's going to happen. So,
And I got to apologize in advance, people, because the powers that be decided to schedule the Jets-Pittsburgh Steelers game the same day. And right now, the Jets are winning in the fourth quarter. So if I'm kind of like out there, you know why.
yes, those bastards. How could they schedule it on this day of all days? How dare they?
They're always after me, always.
Always. Well, welcome to the REENO Show. You are my first official guest, and a very welcome one.
Oh, I'm a virgin, huh?
Yeah, that's...
You busting your cherry here tonight, huh? Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Mommy, you didn't hear that, Mommy. You either, Yvette.
And, well, why don't we just get things started? There's a CD that Cosmo has put out, which you can purchase through his website, which we will be mentioning quite a few times. Through
www.jamonproductions.com.
There we go. And he put this CD together of, as he says it, he wanted to make the best possible representation of the music of Newcleus. And he, well, we're going to go through each song one at a time. We're going to give you the lowdown on each track for simplicity's sake, and that you can hear the whole CD. And then right after the show, go buy it. Okay? Make sure you buy it. Please buy it. Because as we'll discuss later in the show, that the funds should be appropriated to the artists instead of the labels and to the people pimping out the artists. So we want Cosmo to get what's coming to him.
Please.
And all right, so welcome to the show, everybody. We're going to start off with this first track here, Destination Earth 1999, which until now was only available as an instrumental, correct?
Right.
Which I have on 12-inch, and the B-side has Jam on Revenge with two weird remixes.
You're looking at me like I'm supposed to know this.
Well, that's what Reno's here for.
Thank you.
And yeah, the instrumental on there, and you know, I'd never knew about a vocal until I went to your website, and you gave us the lowdown. Now, why was the vocal mixed out?
You have to ask those who were in charge, and I say that because we were not in charge back when the record was originally produced. It was written with the vocal. It was recorded with the vocal. We expected there the vocal to be on there when we heard the final product. Lo and behold, no vocal. No vocal, no second solo, much smaller, much shorter mix, which makes sense because there's no vocal. So you're going to have to make it shorter so people don't get bored to death. Now, respect, and I appreciate all those out there who have loved this song over the years. It was one of my favorites way back when I first wrote it, when Chili B and I first put it down. But you got to also understand my not being too happy with the fact that the vocal was taken out. And I just felt, and let me say this, I was going to put it on this album as an instrumental because I knew how loved it was. But then I realized that if I worked hard enough and found old stuff, I could put it back together and have it closer to the way it was supposed to sound. And I just felt, since anybody could buy the Best of Newcleus album from REENO, you know, and I'm not mad at REENO, you know, REENO has their own thing, they're a business,
yeah.
You know, but since anybody could buy that, I just figured, look, this is an album that's going to represent our stuff the way we felt it was supposed to and should have sounded. So that's why this vocal is back in there.
Well, it was very nice to hear it for the first time, and it's pretty deep, and I like the overall mood of the song without the vocals, and now hearing it with the vocals, it makes total sense.
Right.
So without further ado, why don't we go into that right now? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I hear it. Do I hear it? Do I hear anything? Testing. Vocal version, first time. quite compelling indeed. Very moody,
Thank you.
atmospheric, and dark. All those good things at once.
Yeah, we were gonna name the first album before we ever had a deal. Our idea was to name our first album Destination Earth 1999 because it summed up where we were coming from. You know, it summed up our trying to make the world better. You know, we had a futuristic solve the problems of the world bend along with a mixture of Christianity into what we were doing, you know. And that song was like our theme song, you know. Like, we can't stand this world, you know, so, and we know we can't find love here, so we're going to take a chance and go into the future to see if we can find love there. So that's basically where we were heading. So there's the darkness to show, you know, how dark this world was so frustrating that we had to get out of here, you know.
I like it. It definitely evokes that mood.
Thank you.
As well as the next track off the CD, titled Why. Now this one goes through a series of moods. I mean, it's got the main section, you know, the verse section, then it goes into that break, just totally as dark can get. Then when we go out, we get kind of jazzy. So you got a bunch of different moods. I really like that track for that reason. It's because it takes you on a ride. And what can you tell us about this track?
All right, let me first say that Why is one of our oldest songs. It was done, our original name was Positive Messenger, and when we originally did Why, it was dark from beginning to end. However, you know, we didn't do Why for the first album because it didn't match, you know, where we felt the album was going yet. So we saved it. And then when we saw what had happened with all of the material that was close to us on that first album, we decided, well, we're never going to give them Why. But what happened was when MIDI first came out, Why was the first thing we decided, because it was a song that was close to us, you know, it was really close to my heart. So the first song that I experimented with MIDI with was Why.
Right.
And what happened was there was always that break in the middle, and then the bass and the strings come back, but it was still just as sad as the rest of the song, you know, with a sad square wave solo over it. But what we decided to do, you know, when we were doing it with MIDI, because it wasn't designed to be released, you know, we were doing it for our own pleasure, was let's see just how far we can take this MIDI stuff.
Right.
And that's how we came up with the part in the end. We threw the jazz solo, because jazz is what we really, really loved.
I really like that the way the song goes out for that reason. I like the jazzy. You don't expect it on that song,
right? And then here it comes, and it drops into this piano solo and the strings swelling and everything.
I like it.
And what happened was the people who were in charge of us heard it, and they insisted on having it, and I fought tooth and nail not to let them have it. And what happened is we made them promise to us that they wouldn't change it. They would leave it alone, and that a certain someone who was basically responsible for changing most of our songs would not touch it. And they lied to us and said, no, you'll have it, you'll be in the mix down, they promised us all of this, and none of that materialized. Bullshit. Also, I would like to say, because I've been asked by more than one person, originally the song said, it's the light of Jesus.
I hear that on there.
That was what it originally said. When we did it for the Space is the Place album, they had a fit, because they said we were referring to Christian ideals too much. So they wanted me to change it. They actually were going to drop the song from the album. I said, drop it, you know, because I didn't want you to have it anyway. But then it came to me a thought that what Jesus, according to the Bible, said on the cross was Abba, you know, meaning Father, calling out to God. And to me, that was perfect. So I said, suppose I put ABBA instead of Jesus. And they said, okay, that's fine. So it became ABBA on Space is the Place. However, this that is on this album is from the original 12 track that we did, that they were begging us about. And so it's Jesus the way it was originally was, you know, because it's from the original recording.
So the version on the Space is the Place album, all those tracks, that's a different take entirely.
Yeah, that's done 24 track.
Oh, okay.
This that's on this album was a 12 track. I won't call it a demo because when we built our 12-track studio, it was for us to record stuff the way we wanted it to sound. And actually, when I went on the house music, I released a lot of records out of the 12-track studio, and people thought it was 24-track.
Yeah, well,
that's why this sounds that good.
Now, I noticed on the album version that the hi-hat's doing 16th notes, and I said, well, how was he able to, now you're telling me a different, you tracked it again.
Right.
There's my answer.
Yeah.
Well, this mix is a whole lot better than the album version. You can hear the vocals a lot better. You hear the strings a lot better. You hear the solo a lot better. Everything's right there in your face the way it should be. So why don't we take a listen to Why? All right. Very nice. Go, 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 Is it? In a good way.
Tied. There's 3 minutes and change to go.
I was listening to this on the way to Florida. I was like, damn, I didn't know he could play like that. It doesn't matter though. It still sounds good. That's what we're talking about. It doesn't matter how you got there as long as the end result moves you. And I totally agree with that. Especially these days, you gotta make shit sound as good as you can. And that's the
727. That's why it only had one timbale. Drove me crazy. How you gonna have one timbale?
That's rolling. I have a 707. I don't have the 727.
727 is all percussion.
All Latin shit, right?
Right.
Okay, we gotta get.
What's going on in the chat
To
room?
the end now.
Yes, very, very nice track there. Why?
Thank you.
And the big question is, why didn't I know it up until 3 weeks ago? Shame on Reno, shame on Reno, shame on Reno.
Yes, shame.
I was sleeping. Yes, I really like that. Like I said, that outro there is very, very gorgeous. Definitely evokes a nice mood. Overall, I really dig that. But don't want to waste too much time. There's a lot to talk about.
And it's 2-minute warning here.
Yeah.
With game tied.
Yeah, exactly.
See, there's the laugh.
I'm glad everybody's tuned in. And a lot of people are tuned in, which is very nice. I'm very happy about that. That people turned out and tuned in to the show. More people are logging on as I'm looking at the chat room here. This is great. We got a full house here tonight, folks. Let's move on to another great track, Computer Age, Push the Button. Now, I noticed this version that you put on here doesn't have that awesome spoken intro that's on the album that you love so much.
Right.
And
Now, that is my fault.
you let it happen.
Because, no, when we recorded it for the album, I took that part out because I figured it was too long anyway. I don't know why I did. But the intro that if everybody goes to jamonproductions.com and looks in the vault, you'll hear the original 4-track version. And by the way, I just found a redo of the 4-track, which we did before we went into the studio. I'll be putting that up soon once I can translate it to digital. Hopefully I can. I don't know what condition the cassette is in yet. But when we went to there's a nice long intro with 808 percussion and vocoder going on. It sets the mood for the whole song. And when we went to record it, I figured, okay, this is too long. At least I believe it was my decision. It might not have been, but I know that it was my decision not to record it because what we decided to do, we always recorded it. And then they decided to slice it up and dice it up however they wanted.
And fuck it up, ultimately.
Yeah. So that's why it's not on there.
But I know,
looking back in retrospect, I probably should have kept it on there,
But
and they
even-
would have sliced it out anyway.
I want to hear that. I do. But even on the album, the intro is longer than what's on the 12-inch because after the spoken part, there's more like 8 bars of drums before.
Okay. Now wait a minute. Which spoken part are you talking about? This is the story of Newcleus. Oh,
yeah.
we had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No.
You're talking about another. You're talking about the actual intro.
Yeah, I'm talking about. Yeah, there's nobody speaking. It's a coda.
Yeah. I want to hear that. Yeah, I thought that album thing was pretty hilarious because this is Newcleus.
Yeah, that's the foolishness they threw on there to sell our stuff, you know.
And that's the brother of the producer.
Yeah, that's Ken Spider Webb, who's a famous radio disc jockey.
He sounds like it.
Yeah, he's actually Joe Webb's. I don't know if he's Joe Webb's brother or cousin. I forget.
Some relation, but
yeah.
When you heard that, did you laugh? Did you like it? I know you must have.
That didn't bother me. There was plenty of other stuff on the album enough to bother me. that one actually didn't bother me too badly. As a matter of fact, when we performed on the Fresh Fest, we used to play that before we came out on the stage, and it usually worked pretty well.
I would, it's funny because I just picked up a copy of the album. I only had the 12-inch, and I just picked it up a couple weeks ago. And like the version of Jam on Revenge on there, I don't know where that came from, but that's not the right version at all. It's
that's a dub. Yeah.
Why not? Why didn't they at least put the Sunny View?
These questions, I have no idea what was in those people's heads.
They should have put the 12-inch that was released.
That's what they should have done. They should have put the Mayhew version on there.
That might have been asking too much.
But they never looked at it as anything more than a novelty record. Matter of fact, that's the only way they ever looked at any of our stuff.
Right.
They never looked at what we were trying to say or what we were trying to do.
Right.
They
to
looked
them,
at
they just
how they could exploit it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's what drove all of their decisions, frankly.
Well, we're going to get to Jam on Revenge after Computer Age, but I think
I'm going to get back to this jet.
Yes, he's going to get back to the game.
Thank you.
And you all out there, I'm sure you know and love Computer Age, and this is the release version, as Cozmo said. Yes, this is this is the 12-inch version that we all know and love of Computer Age. Is that why you only did it on 2 songs?
Yeah, on the first album. No, I only did it on 1 song on the first album. No, Jam on It. Yeah, did it on 2 songs. Right. Only did it on Jam on It because it was a follow-up to Wiki Wiki.
Right. And
they wanted that.
There you go, folks. Oh shit. That's a long solo, so you went out on that.
That one was me. The first solo was Chili B.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yes, we're back. The first solo on that was Chili B, and the second one.
And the solo going out was me. You can usually tell my styles from Chili B's styles because Chili B was much more of a musically trained person, where I was more of a freestyle person. So my solos were more like all over, where his solos usually had more of a musical flow. And not that my stuff wasn't musical or out of key, but
Correct.
My stuff was like while his stuff was flowing, you know.
Well, all I know is the end result sounds great. Whatever, however you got there, it doesn't matter, right? We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
So now we go to. By the way, the sequence of the songs on the CD is based on the order in which they were written, correct?
Right.
Okay, so that's why the sequence may not make sense to some of you who know that Jam on Revenge actually came out before anything else, but it was.
Right.
It was actually written. Okay.
Jam on Revenge was the song that got us our deal. Mm-hmm. You know, and it wasn't even supposed to be out there. The only reason it even got heard was because I threw it on the back of a tape that I was shopping stuff on. But it was a joke. If anybody has the first album and you check the cat with the sunglasses on the left on the keys, not the one on the right. The one on the right in the Derby is me. The guy on the left, that's Salvador Smooth, who was one of our Jam On Productions DJs. And one day he said to me, "Yo, man, y'all should do a rap record." I wasn't trying to do a rap record, but I figured, okay, you want a rap record, and I did Wiki Wiki as a joke. Jam On Revenge was a joke. It was Jam On's Revenge, and it was about us getting revenge on all the whack rappers that had taken over the daggone world.
Right.
Or at that time, the town, because it was originally with John Wayne coming in. Good work, Jam On.
Right.
You know, doing that kind of thing. But they heard it, they lost their mind. The rest is history. Now I'm from outer space.
And so basically, like you said in the liner notes of the CD, that it was kind of an rap record.
Yeah, because most of the rap records that were coming out, see, we came out of the streets of Bed-Stuy battling. That's what we lived for. To this day, when I hear a car go by with a booming system, my heart starts to jump, because back then there was no such thing as that. You came out in your house and you heard that boom. You knew somebody was in a park somewhere and had speakers out,
right.
And it was time to get on the phone, get the set together, go out. It was battle time. That's where we came from. And most of the stuff that was coming out on most of the records was so whack that if you had gotten in the streets of Brooklyn doing that crap, people would have bricked you. That's what we call it, getting bricked. Now, it might have been bottles, it might have been bullets, but people would have bricked you. You couldn't get out there with that crap, but they were on the airwaves making money with that crap. That's why we did that. That's what that record, that song was about.
Are you including records in your description of this whack stuff being put out? Smurfy's Dance by Spider D. He probably doesn't know what that is.
No, I know Spider D, but I can't say that record. And you want to know something? I don't want to get nobody mad anyway.
No, I'm not. But personally,
a lot of, especially them old school cats, I got to do shows with them. They say, that was about me? No, we don't want none of that.
No, it was a nice record though. But we're not talking about. We're gonna get back
his
to
record.
Yeah, his record was nice, but yours is real nice too. I mean, the show is about your stuff, not his. But I just wanted to get your take on that. All right, so yeah, I remember when I bought this. Pretty much when I first heard it, I didn't get the original pressing, the Mayhew label. Mayhew. Yeah, I must have gotten to it late in the game. I got the Sunny View, and which
Mayhew was the original. I don't think he pressed up with so many of them.
So that's
maybe 1,000.
It's all right, folks. Go out there on eBay and scour the world for the first pressing of that. It's probably worth a pretty penny, right?
Right.
It would be. I would think that's something you would see like hanging on the wall in A1 Records for like $85. That's the kind of record we're talking about here.
Or you might find it in a couple of stores I know for like 50 cents, if you're lucky.
Well, you just let me know where those stores are, and I'll just scoot down.
If I see it, I'm copying it myself. Are you kidding me?
If I find 5 copies, I'll keep 2 and I'll auction the. No, just kidding. I'm not trying to make money, but yes, that's a little bit of information for y'all.
We're in overtime now.
All right, this version. I'll just get to this quickly. This version of Jam On Revenge, I've never heard before because you spliced it together. You restored it to the original.
I used what I had digitally already in the digital domain, and I had to use some 12-inch vinyl in order to get it back to the right arrangement. And I've got a few skills with matching up sounds, so it's. I think those of us with spectacular ears can hear the differences, but it's at least now sounding pretty good. Maybe 1 or 2 pops in the whole thing.
I didn't hear any pops, by the way.
They're there.
Okay, maybe.
But they're slight.
Yeah.
If the ones that weren't, I took care of, and they're in it's in the arrangement that it was. Now I don't have the Mayhew version to hear exactly. The Mayhew version may be longer, but it is now in its original arrangement with, I'm pretty sure, all of the vocals intact.
The only major difference I noticed between this and the Sunny View version is that there's more talking in the middle over the synth solo.
Depending on what mix you use from Sunny View, there's a good bit more talking.
Yeah. That's the main difference.
That's what I was looking, because you lose the whole thing if you're slicing out the talking and all that.
Why did they take all that talking out for the?
You're asking me why again?
We can thank your buddy Mr. Fearing.
Mr. Fearing,
yeah.
And whoever else was giving him his marching orders.
All right, so without further,
that silent, I like that.
Yeah. Without further ado, Jam On Revenge.
Oh no, it's Cozmo! That's right, Earthlings. Me and the Jam On production crew here are taking over this world. So we want all of you ding-dangers to pack up your hits and your hot, get on your hot horses, and vamoose!
This is the actual first. I'm talking to you.
Yes, I know. Keep talking.
Very first Newcleus restored to its original form. Very nice.
What's going on in the chat room?
Well, we have a lot of people. In the chat room right about now. a whole lot of people.
What are we arguing?
More people than ever, actually.
Yeah, I see that list is pretty long.
Who's that? Who's talking? Are you? Yeah. And who's that? You and the crew.
Me and Chili Big. All the vocals are me and Chili Big.
I knew that. I'm just messing with you.
Where's the holding on? Oh, there it is. That came on the 808.
No way.
That and that came on the 808.
Oh shit. And I was complimenting on how the pattern was very nicely put together. Even the kick and the snare one?
No, that's all me.
Okay.
That's all me. But those breaks, that break and that roll.
Okay. Who was that spaceman? I wanted to thank him. Very poignant. Poignant indeed. Everyone says, for a joke, this record is pretty damn cool.
Yeah, well, I
know?
can't hate on it, that's for sure. I wouldn't be here without it.
Yes. What were you saying about the Dave Ogren, the engineer? He hated recording the 808 because it was...
Because the drums were too hard to EQ. He hated it because of the snare and the kick. As a matter of fact, it was Dave Ogren who got me to change the drum machine on half of the songs on the first album to the DMX. Because he hated the 808 so bad. So the day we recorded, we actually went in and sat in the office, and I programmed all the patterns that I had on the 808 onto the DMX, and then we laid it down. Oh, the crowd's booing. I like that.
Yes, well, that's an interesting tidbit. I never thought that would be a problem. Engineer.
Well, he figured it out eventually. I remember the day that he did. He said, "Oh, I see now." I forget who. He was in a session with somebody. So you got to remember, back then, Ogren was just starting out. As a matter of fact, when we first laid Wiki, was he the engineer? He was either the engineer on Wiki or Jam on it, and Matt Casher was the other one. I forget who was first. I think Matt might have been on Wiki and Dave was on Jam on it. But he was just starting out then.
Okay.
He wasn't Dave Ogren. He was just Dave Ogren.
Right.
He's good people. I love him, man. Love him like a brother.
Is he's still around?
He doesn't live too far from here. He's right on 46th Street, I think. So
interesting.
Not too far from here at all.
Yeah, he did a lot of that. His name is on a lot of those records from that.
Oh
era.
yeah, I was there the day. What is it? Fresh MCs, FRES.
Right. Yeah, he did that. Fresh. That's right.
You know
yeah.
that's him on the vocals.
No, I didn't. On the
couldn't do it.
vocals?
They couldn't do it.
What?
So,
On the whole hook?
The hook, yeah. Listen to it. That's all Dave Ogren.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't.
I was there that day. He said, "No, this ain't working." So he went in there and did it himself.
Really?
Yep.
Fresh 3 MCs, huh? All right, getting back to the Newcleus material here. We are up to where the hell are we?
Automan.
Correct. Automan. And this is the version with the vocals. This is actually the album version because this is the album version.
This is the album version.
And want to tell us a little bit about what they did to your song?
All right. Automan was originally written as a new wave rock ballad kind of thing with all kinds of instruments and all that. If y'all want to hear what it was sound like with everything in it, though the vocals are not up to par, they were supposed to be going in and finished. You can go and download it for free at the Vault at jamonproductions.com. But originally it had all these different synths in there, and it had another half to the vocals because my vocal was answered by the girls singing in an operatic fashion the other half of the lyrics. They didn't like the girls on half of those instruments. They took them out. And so now you have a song that I guess it still makes sense, but it makes a hell of a lot more sense if you hear the lyrics that the girls are singing behind it.
Right.
Anyway, I won't get into it because you can all get it for free. And even
right.
though, you know, it's a rough mix, but it's the original tracks from the 24-track studio session, the same tracks that you hear on this. But even though the vocals are not up to par, at least you get to hear what it's supposed to sound like. However, this record is such a huge breakbeat b-boy classic now, I figured I better leave it alone. You know, I'm not going to hate on a record that has done so well and means so much to so many people. You know, and eventually I'll figure out a way to get the way it's supposed to sound out there.
All right, well, we're going to take a listen to that track from the new Newcleus compilation CD, Destination Earth 1999, which can be purchased at jamonproductions.com. Please, folks, show your support and support the musicians who actually made the music, and let them benefit for a change instead of the labels and the
Come on, defense.
producers who pimped the music for their own benefits. Please go buy the CD, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Don't make me kick your ass. Where'd you get the wing from? Is that white noise or something?
I'm trying to remember the keyboard. I think it's the They might have. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I have to think about it.
Cosmo's watching the game. He'll be with us shortly. But I might be able to talk about the next track, which some of you might know. It's called Jam On It. This version has, I believe, 12 bars in there of Chili's rap.
Actually, I counted wrong. It's 8.
Okay, I didn't count it. I'll just take your word for 8 bars of Chili's rap.
I was up like 2 hours when I counted it.
And those bars of Chili's rap were cut out, as well as the first chorus. But Cosmo found a DAT with the original uncut mix on there, and he was able to put it on the CD. So you can't get this anywhere else. This is totally exclusive to this CD. So you got to pick up the CD on jamonproductions.com and go get it right now or shortly after my show. Go order this CD. All right. So this is Jam On It with the extra lyrics, Chili B's verse that you will hear, and that chorus. You probably never heard this before. So check this out.
That's it.
You know with the extra.
Jam on it.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, you wanna rock, right?
You know, that sounds like an REENO tour. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it after. But I don't think they heard this version at all, because it's only on the CD. And unless you bought the CD, you wouldn't. So REENO sent you a DAT that just happened to have everything that was on
They
there.
were trying to find some of the stuff.
Did they even know? They probably They probably didn't even realize that.
Are we gonna say wiki again? Wiki,
Got my undivided attention for the rest of the night now. Yeah.
And?
I can still dance and hold the camera
Look to your
straight.
face, man. This team didn't win. The Jets did not win. I'm sorry, man. You know what?
Hey, they played them good. It was supposed to get blown out. They should have won the game. Their kicker had 2 chances to win the game, but he didn't do it.
Well, I'm sorry. But hey, you got beer, you got REENO, and you got
The lovely Krista.
people.
Thank you.
People can buy your CD. If they don't buy it, I'm gonna come out there and kill them myself. They're gonna buy it. Check it out. Here's the extra parts coming up. After this, right after this.
I knew someday I would rock the nation, so I made up my mind just what to do, and I just went to do one production group. Go crazy.
Check it out. Listen.
Let your body be
Right here.
crazy. I said, don't
Stop.
your body
rock till your eyesight starts to get hazy. To the short shot beat, choose it to the bone, cause the chili beats on the microphone. Till your mind is floating like you're in a dream, and you feel so good that you gotta scream. Jam on it, jam on and on and on and on and on till the beat don't stop till everybody gone, and that doesn't happen till the break of dawn. Clean out your ears and your open eyes.
I wonder how they did that, man. Makes no sense to me. What did you say? 10 seconds, 15 seconds?
It just means he didn't like those lines. He didn't like them.
I don't think he liked Bob's raps and all this on the 7-inch. He took the whole thing out.
What's 7-inch? Those are 7-inch?
Yeah.
I gotta find that. What, his whole
I
rap?
think I got a copy of the 7-inch.
I'll take it.
On that same deck.
They cut the whole, his
whole rhyme is
So
going.
it's just you.
Yeah.
What, it's like 4 minutes then, right? It's not the same song, is it? It can't be. And no breaks, nothing.
But they use every bit of my rap. They cut out his, and they cut out a lot of the smell part.
Speaking of cutting out, you know, back in the day, cutting out meant cutting tape. Yeah, so that was no small feat.
No, we had to sit down and take his time to do it.
You guys
See,
talk about it.
that's the insult right there, that he actually took time to do that shit.
He thought it was about him. That was his thing. He thought it was about him.
Speaking
And
of,
I know because I talked to the man. He thought that it was all about him.
are we
He
talking?
told me to his face that he didn't want me in the damn studio.
Bastards.
Said I can't have artists in the studio where I work. Like he worked with any other fucking artist.
You talking about Webb?
Aaron!
Oh,
The Webb didn't give a shit about nothing. All he was making the money.
hearing this was a white dude?
Yeah.
I can't find any pictures of him on the internet at all. I don't even know what he looks like.
He was a DJ who also spinned on BLS. His only claim to fame that I know of is doing our shit. You know?
Let's go kryptonite.
I don't like my artists. What other artists you've ever worked with? For some reason they give me carte blanche on my shit.
You know, we got to do this on the air, man. I don't want you to blow your load.
Yeah. Do it on the air.
Now I'm
Do it on the air.
Jets done lost. I'm bitter now.
That's what I want.
That's what you want.
I want that.
Oh, so it's your fault they lost.
No. You can just talk about whatever, and I'll do my thing, and I'll get back here.
All right, what's the next song?
Oh, well, we're not there yet.
The next song is Space and Place, right?
Yes.
There we go.
Here we go. We're back.
And the Jets have lost.
Shucks.
So you guys might notice a change in my demeanor now.
But that's
as I
good,
get cold and bitter.
because we'll be talking about some stuff that requires this type of aggression, like Mr. Fearing fucking up. Well, and with Jam on it, like he cut out those lines that you heard.
Which makes no sense. I mean, if you're saving for time, what did you save? 10 seconds, 15 seconds? What the? It makes no sense. And you know something? To tell you the truth, when he did it, we were upset. Said, why did he do that? But the record took off, because remember, this is before the album. That was our second single. Record took off almost immediately. So almost immediately, we're doing shows, because we were already still doing shows for doing Jam on Revenge. And all of a sudden, this record hits, and now all of a sudden, we're huge. And we're doing these shows, and we didn't even have time to think about it. So quiet as it's kept, both Chili B and I and the rest of the group, we quickly forgot those vocals even existed. We have never performed with that part of the rhyme in there. And what happened was, when we were doing the Best of Newcleus album for REENO, I was telling them about songs like that were long missing, like Spacebound and Get Looser. These were songs that we did that never came out. And I said, look, if you've got those should be on the album. And they sent me a DAT with stuff that was on reels, that the reels had names on it, but they didn't know what it was, because these people are stupid. They don't know what anything is. They own it, but they don't know. And I'm going through the stuff, and here is this little slice. It says Jam on It Outtakes. I said, what the hell is that? And it plays. I said, oh my God. I had forgotten all about it. Well, thank God for digital, thank you, Lord, because It's just a matter of popping both on the computer and doing a little matching up. As a matter of fact, I didn't even have to match on this, because they had the master digitally on the DAT, the full master of the 12-inch,
right,
Jam on It, and they had the outtake, which means it was from the exact same thing. So I didn't even have to match the EQs. I just had to put it right back in where he took it out. You know, and said, thank you very much.
Oh, wait, sweet. So the version we just heard wasn't the way it is intact like that on the DAT. You had to splice that.
No, I had to splice it back in. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I must have been sleeping while you.
Of each reel, so I had to put that back in.
So the outtake was just off on its own, like as a 30-second
off on
piece.
its own. There was 2 outtakes. There was one from the vocal 12-inch, and there's an outtake that was taken off of the instrumental 12-inch. And who knows? Maybe I'll splice that back in.
What's special about the instrumental outtake?
Well, I don't know because it's from the instrumental, and since I didn't do the instrumental, I don't know what it's from. If I sit down and figure it out, I could probably figure out where it goes. But
okay. It's not really important.
No, it's not important. It's the instrumental. But that vocal. I mean, I sat there when I played it because Chili B just got his copy week before last. He called me up. He said, "Yo, I forgot all about that." It's his rhyme.
Yeah,
he forgot all about it. I said, "Yeah, you know what? I had too."
He hasn't heard it since 1984.
He hasn't heard it since 1984. We've never even performed it with that rhyme in there. So that was a trip. That was a trip. And to me, it was worth it just putting it out, just getting that little piece back in there. You know, and letting everybody see just how petty they were. Why would they take that out?
I don't know, man. That's pretty strange. You know, I don't know. Maybe he just didn't like the lyrics, or I don't know the flow of it. Or
that's what we were trying to figure if that was the case, because on the 7-inch version of as a matter of fact, the 7-inch version, the version that shows on MTV. Everything that he has done where he has cut it shorter, he's taken pieces out of Chili B's rhyme. You know, instead of mine.
Yeah.
You know, and mind you, you know, I'm sure Chili B is insulted. I'm insulted because I wrote both of the damn rhymes. Mm-hmm. You know, what is your problem, man? You know, on the 7-inch version, Chili B's not even on there. His rhyme is not even on the 7-inch.
You know,
version.
I just want to hear it just for that to see what they did. I'm gonna get it. If you have an extra copy,
I've got a copy of that.
I'll meet up with you and
sure I've got a copy.
I'll hang it on the wall after I finish listening to it. But a couple of things before we get on to the next track, Spaces to Places. I just want to give a shout out to the whole GFR crew for accommodating us and letting the world hear this interview and all the great information that's being put forth tonight.
Yeah, y'all people rock, yo.
Yeah, Gordy, Mike, thanks for putting this great station out there and letting people like me
Fizza, good looking out, baby.
Have a forum to bring the music that we feel in our hearts the most to the internet masses, so to speak. So GFR, big props to GFR. I love Global Funk Radio, and please do not pirate this show. All right, if you want copies, you got to go through REENO and Gordy. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, and there'll be opportunities for that later. For those who missed it, it'll be provided for y'all. And but right now, just listen and just feel the funk. And before we move on, we do have a question about Disco Kryptonite. Was there ever a 12-inch record called Disco Kryptonite?
No, there was never
I didn't think so. That was her question. She was just good. Maybe you should put one on now.
Hey, I thought about it before.
Yeah.
And just because I've seen the lyrics that go around, and back when we were performing this, we used to get bleeped all the time on the radio. You know, and I was like, why are they bleeping that? It's not I don't need a fan to cool my ass, all right? That is stupid. Why would I cool my ass with a fan? It's I don't need a fan to cool my amps, as in amplifiers. We were a street DJ crew rocking blocks in the hot sun of Brooklyn, New York City. It'll be 95 degrees. You got to put a fan on your amplifiers.
That's right.
Come on. And Superman, he didn't need that. But we did have that trusty cut at 12-inch and that Disco Kryptonite sitting around.
Yeah. Well,
teach them come to our block. They're still trying to fix the foundation of all them houses that were swaying to the groove.
Just thinking back in the day, we even in Manhattan, believe it or not, had block parties. And
yeah.
20 years back. I missed that. It was
Man.
it was just,
It
even
was
my
a golden time.
my church on 84th Street here, we used to have them outdoors, and we used to have the break dances. We used to have the turntables set up right outside, and nobody cared how loud it was. And, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing, and that is just gone. We
used
can't
to
do
go
that anymore.
sometimes to 1 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
And as long as the people were just dancing, having a good time, cops come by and they check every now and then, because we were prominent in Bed-Stuy and Park Slope. Now, Bed-Stuy, cops don't care. Nobody cares. Everybody's out there. Your grandmother was out there boogieing. Everybody's doing the freak. But in Park Slope, which is a upper middle class neighbor, anybody who knows New York and knows Park Slope knows what I'm talking about, we would get complaints.
Yeah.
And the cops would come by and they'd say, look, just turn it down till we turn the corner. And we would go to 1 o'clock in the morning in Park Slope because we rocked so good and people loved it so much. See, that was the secret. A lot of crews back then, I mean, we're talking the late 70s. A lot of crews back then would get, out in Bed-Stuy, their jams would get shot up. They never shot up any of our jams because everybody who was doing the shooting was having too much of a good time. That was the key. You got to rock the party, yo. Anyway,
Yeah, exactly.
Space is the place.
Nobody
right?
knows how to rock parties these days anymore. I don't know what happened to the party.
It's a lost art.
The party's over. Space is the place. Okay, now, the vocal panning was an issue on that album with all the dual vocalist tracks, and this one is no exception, and you had to somehow fix it a bit when you mastered it for this CD.
Yeah, I found, actually, I'll let this secret out because it ain't no secret. An Easy CD Creator, I was fooling around one day. I don't even use that program, but I was fooling around. I don't even remember why. But I saw the karaoke function on there. And in the karaoke function, you can actually work to move the left and right closer to the middle. And, of course, as soon as I saw that, I thought that, well, that's perfect for all that old Newcleus stuff. So that's what I used for this. It does kind of compress the track a little more than I like, but I thought I got to a level where I figured it was adding just the right amount where it wasn't too much compression and moving the vocals just enough into the middle where even though they're not directly up in the middle, at least they're close and at least it's not as annoying as hell as one extremely to the left and extremely to the right. I don't understand what the man was thinking when he did it. And unfortunately, he's not here to answer for his crimes.
It's really annoying. Yeah, sorry. It's hard to listen to it on headphones with that because it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
I hate it. I hate it. I honestly, and I swear, I don't listen to the old albums
for that reason.
For this album, basically for that reason, and for other issues too. But all the stuff that they did to our stuff, I cannot listen to most of the old stuff. I've been able to listen to Computer Age. I've been able to listen to Jam on It because they basically left that alone. I've been able to listen to Cyborg Dance and Technology because they left that alone. But just about every other song, they tortured. And because of that, I can't listen to it. Mm-hmm. And so this album was more for me and the rest of the group, the true group, than it was for anybody else. We want to share our music with everybody, which is all we ever wanted to do. But it's been therapy for me, really.
Therapy for us all, because good music soothes the savage beast, as they say. All right, well, someone in the chat room just said, what synth was used for the bass line on Jam on It? You want to volunteer that information?
Pro 1, baby.
Pro 1.
Circuits Pro 1.
Yes, the monophonic Prophet 5. So there you go, folks. All right. Space is the place. And after the song, you'll know why Space is the place, correct?
Yeah.
You just, the George Clinton influence coming out, the sci-fi thing. And
just fun.
Fun.
I mean, George Clinton, his influence was in everything that we did. But at this point, this was after the Fresh Fest. It was after we had decided, we're gonna stop fighting against this space thing that they put us in, and we embraced it. And Space is the Place is the result of that. We had fun making Space is the Place. The lyrics are fun. The track was fun. They did a little bit of damage to it, besides the vocal padding thing, but we still have fun. I think the fun still shines through on it. That's why it had to be on this album.
Well, here we go with a little space in your face. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, there's only so much you can do with that stereo spectrum.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get your hands on the masters.
No. The masters are off in the...
It would be nice to know where they actually are, though.
I think Joe Webb had them.
But he won't fess up to that.
I haven't spoken to him. Not since I had him arrested.
You had him arrested?
He forged our signature on the contracts he sent to REENO to get what royalties they were holding.
We'll talk about that too. We gotta air this out so that people can know about it, and you get what's yours. You know, that's some bad shit right there. So many stories I hear. You know, people back in the day that got ripped off. Oh, you do have the Munchkins on there.
Yeah, I got every bit of Newcleus is in this record. Those girls singing, everything.
Those Munchkins sound a little bit different than the ones on the earlier records. Like they said.
Well, each time it was different. You got to remember this is with different engineers,
Tin shifters,
different machines, because by now Quad, they were originally, when we first went to Quad, when we were doing Wiki and Jam on it, only thing they did in there was porno. They did soundtrack to porno movies. After everybody found out that this sound that we were using, we got in the studio, they figured the studio had some magic. Suddenly the studio blew the fuck up. They changed their name from Quadrasonic to Quad. They bought all new equipment, all new machines. So now, because the way we did the Wiki voices, we slowed the machine down. But the machine didn't slow down to the same speed. So that's why these Munchkin vocals sound different.
You didn't use a pitch shifter?
No. On Wiki, my voice. Cozmo's voice was what's the name of the damn?
Is it a
The harmonizer. What's the company?
Oh, okay. The one that came out back then. I don't know.
Eventide.
Oh, okay. That's what you did too?
Yeah, that was my voice. All the other voices were slowing the tape down. Because that's how we did it on cassette. We slowed the tape down.
That's the old-fashioned way of doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's how we did it on this too. But it's a different machine. Now, you gotta pitch shift it because everything's digital.
Right.
Slow it down doesn't make a difference.
Right. Well, the pitch shifting it's so much easier.
It's easier, but it doesn't sound.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You're right. It doesn't sound the same. It's artificial. It's more artificial. But Prince was doing that a lot. You know, in the mid '80s with that voice.
Was he?
Speeding. Yeah. Doing that Camille thing.
Well, we all love George. That's what that is.
Yeah. I like that. Alright.
What? If you listen to this, you'll find that even the Munchkins, I'm on one side and Bob's on the other side.
Real smart.
Yeah. I didn't put any pauses in.
I gotta be quicker with the pause button over here. But we'll fix that in the editing. You know what I'm saying?
Doug O'Brien, you stink! Now you missed 2 field goals. He had the game both times. Twice.
Yeah, Doug, what's up with that?
Man.
All right. Cyborg Dance, a song I've only heard for the first time in the last couple of weeks.
That's a damn shame.
I know. You know, it's easy to miss out on so much shit came out back then. And I didn't have the albums. That's another thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Although I know...
No, it did come out
on the B side of Space is the Place, right? It was on the flip.
Was it the B side? Yeah,
I think
guess so.
Now I have to pick that up. But you know what? When something's good, it's going to move me regardless of when I discovered it. As the next song, Cyborg Dance, this is very atmospheric, very dark, very sci-fi-ish. Cyborg, obviously. What do you want to say about this? A lot of people really love this one.
You want to know what I have to say about this song? They left it alone. This is the one song out of all of them, I think, out of every single one, even Computer Age, that they did not touch. They didn't touch a thing. They just they did
Mixed
their nice
it.
little effects on the stuff, which is fine. They did their mix and all that, but every single nuance, instrument, everything that we put on there is on this song. And because of that, it's long been one of my favorites of all the stuff that got released, because it was exactly the way it was meant to be.
And that's one reason to really love it. And my reason to love it is those huge synth chords that just stick out of the mix, which really give it that atmospheric feel. And that's a Juno 106.
Juno 106.
And I would have never guessed that, because I had one of those things, and man, it was cool, but I just, well, at the time, maybe I just didn't know how to program too well, but I never would have guessed that was a Juno. And then there's Jupiter 6 on there.
Jupiter 6 on there. DX7's playing the bass.
The bass.
Jupiter 6 is doing the sequence and the solo. Juno 106 is doing the horns. JXAP is doing the mellow pad chords. And of course, Roland SVC 350 is the vocoder. Driven by probably the Jupiter 6. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the Jupiter 6.
Driven by?
Yeah.
I mean, the sequence.
Oh, wait a minute.
No, I'm confused.
No, the SVC 350.
Yeah.
Was it driven by a synth? I forget. It's so long.
I don't think so.
You think it had
The
a synth built
MSQ?
in? It could be. It's
But-
been so long. I haven't had it
Yeah.
for 15-something years. If it was driven by something, it would have been the Jupiter 6. If it was not, whatever. It was a dope vocoder.
By the way, speaking of Jupiter 6, there's one right in front of Cosmo right now. He's been reunited with, well, at least it's my Jupiter 6, but it looks probably a lot like
fit in
his.
my back pocket.
and walk out of here with it. Yes, all right, so.
Let's start bum rush on the Jupiter 6 up in
Oh,
here.
shit. All right, so this is REENO. You're listening to The REENO Show with special guest Ben Cenac, Cozmo D of Newcleus. And this is a history-making show, so I'm glad you're all tuned in on Global Funk Radio. And stick with us, because this one's going to go into overtime. We have some more stuff to cover. As long as Cosmo doesn't have a hot date or anything, and he's here.
You trying to get me in trouble? You know my wife is listening.
Well, you could have a date with your
My
wife.
mother's home listening.
Oh, you could have a date with your wife. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
you take her out to a nice, little,
Way to cover it up there.
Yeah.
I expect my cell phone to ring any second now.
Well, here we go, folks, with the little cyborg dance for you funky MFers, all right? REENO.
Quite the happy song, isn't it? Quite the happy song, isn't it? I'm more on the dark side anyway. I mean, she'll tell you. I love dark. If things are too happy, I'm like,
I don't mind if it's dark as long as it has a beat, a good beat, something I can skate to.
oh, you're a skater.
I'm a skater from the 70s. So.
Okay, that time you were a little quick.
I have no choice but to be quick on the button. All right, all you cyborgs out there. Well, the next track, Technology, this is mostly, I would say, beat-driven. There's not a whole lot of, vocal content.
Technology came about when we first upgraded our studio. We had built the studio before we did most of the Spaces to Place album. However, Technology, I traded in my MSQ 700 sequencer for Yamaha. Oh my God! See, I'm losing my memory. What are those Yamaha sequencers letters?
Yamaha sequencers, man? I don't know. The sequencers, the only ones I know, the Roland. from that era.
There's big ones. Oh man. Anyway, this was the big Yamaha QX, the QX1. Okay. Oh man, just getting old. Anyway, and bought a whole bunch of new synths. We bought the Casio CZ101s. What else do we buy? Anyway, DX21 I bought. Bought a whole bunch of new synths and technology, and we bought our first sampler, which was which I think everybody back then's first sampler was the first one that was affordable. That was the See, I'm losing my mind. The Mirage.
Oh yeah, yes,
Yeah.
Mid '80s thing.
Yeah. So it was only a 12-bit sampler, but
Right.
hey, it was a sampler. I could actually do jam on it without having to do jam
Right.
on it. I could do it with a key finally. So technology was based on, hey, we got all this stuff. Let me experiment. And that's how this song basically came about, with all of these new instruments and all that. So that's why this song sounds so much different than the rest of the album, because all the instruments were new, the technology was new, first time we ever used samplers, and it's also the last Newcleus album ever done completely from beginning to end by real Newcleus. That was released under Sunnyview. After that, the only song that we did through Sunnyview was as Newcleus was Nana Beat, which was a track done by Amos Larkin III that we did because the label was begging us, and we said, okay, we'll try it. If I had to do it again, I probably wouldn't, but Amos was a good friend of ours, so we didn't mind that too much.
And while we're on the subject of Nana Beat, what do you think of Where's the Beat, your favorite Newcleus?
Where's the Beat wasn't even us. Where's the Beat was the cat's name was Dennis. I don't remember his last name. But Joe Webb, these were his people who he used to. He must have he exploited us to death. He must have exploited them to death too. But he got them in to do this track because he wanted to do something for that stupid commercial. It was a funny commercial, but that's not what we were about, making fun of commercials and all that. But this is what he wanted to do, so we refused to do it. So he got them to do it, and come up with this Peter Gunn bass line, which a lot of people like. I thought it was stupid. So we got a stupid imitation TV bass line for a stupid imitation TV commercial song, and they talked me into coming in at the end and doing the yeah laugh, which I probably, looking back, should never have done, because we hated the record. We wanted nothing to do with it.
Meanwhile, they put it on the album anyway.
Yeah, well, they did what they wanted, basically. They didn't care what we had to say about anything.
So they brought in outside people to put that together.
Yeah.
Even like the everything, the whole track, the rappers, whoever
the
they
rappers were the dancers, I think, because I wasn't even there when they did it. And Joe Webb. Joe Webb was the Where's the Beat?
That was terrible.
It's horrible. Oh, it was horrible. They're the ones that did all that crap. Oh.
They must have thought that would work somehow at the time, but
Of course they did.
But it didn't, did it?
I've talked to cats who were down with the imposter Newcleus that came after us, and apparently he never understood. His whole thing was the gimmick. He thought that was what it was all about, and all he had to do was continue the gimmick, and he would continue to make money. And of course, what they did was crap records with the gimmick. The gimmick to us, like I said, the first one was a joke. And I didn't mind throwing the gimmick again in here or there, but it was about the music to us. But he always thought it was about the gimmick. He thought the music was secondary, and that's why he ended up putting out crap.
Mm-hmm. Well, this track is not crap. This technology right here we're going to have a listen to, and everyone is enjoying the show. Stay tuned. There's more good shit to come. And what else can I say? You're listening to REENO, special guest Cozmo D, on this fine evening in New York City, Spazoid Studios, New York, representing the funk.
Technology.
Very nice. But we also should talk about why you hate Let's Jam, or why you dislike it. Because it's, a jam on a ripple.
Love them things too, huh?
Yeah.
That's a raspberry. I love them.
Sugar junkie, But yeah, I do love Snapple. You want another beer? I mean,
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I've only had two.
Oh, I bought it for you. I'm not gonna drink this shit. The only, at the time, stuff that you put out that wasn't under the name Newcleus.
Oh no, there was more.
Well, we're just talking. Pardon me. We're just talking about the stuff put out at the time by you guys that under other names other than Newcleus. The track we're listening to is one of them, but I am not even aware of other ones.
Track one? You mean what track? You talking about Technology?
No, Greedy Girls.
Oh, Greedy Girls.
Being
okay.
a Newcleus track that's under a different name, basically.
Well, it's different
Somewhat.
rappers.
True, but it's
It's a
still your
Newcleus track, though.
creation.
Yeah.
And is there anything else?
Though I didn't write the rhymes.
That's okay.
You know, that's the move that wrote the rhymes.
Are there? Well, let's talk about.
Well, before that, you've got Dynamic by the Dynamic Breakers.
Mm-hmm.
That was our track with Total Control doing the rhymes.
Yes, I've seen that record. Sunny View.
Yeah.
Sunny View. Yeah.
Yeah. You've got Drunk Driving by Tugga. Tugga is my best friend, and he came out the army to do that track. That was something that Chili B had written, and you know, we didn't want to do it as a Newcleus record, so we had Tugga come and drop the rhymes, which is kind of strange because Tugga was an MC. I mean, a real MC from the street. But, you know, just he wanted to get on something. So he said, okay, let's do this. So that was under Tugga, but that was basically a Newcleus record. Matter of fact, that was a real Newcleus record because everything was written by Newcleus.
And you played all the.
We played all the instruments. The girls sang all the hook lines in the background. Only thing that Tugga did was the rhyme. You know,
So it's pretty much a Newcleus.
Basically a Newcleus. It was more Newcleus than I Want a B-Boy was. You know?
Right. True.
You know? And we won't even mention Where's the Beat.
We already did. But I'm gonna have to pick up those records and add them to the collection. Did those get any club play, any club action at the time, or any the Dynamic Breakers?
I don't think so.
At all?
I don't think so. I don't know because they didn't tell us because they weren't trying to let us know anything. We went into the second album thinking we were in the red. That all we were doing was losing money because that's what they kept telling us, which is their way of not paying us.
Right.
It was only then that we found out that they were paying Joe Webb and they were not paying us.
Nice guy, Mr. Webb.
Oh yeah.
Well, Greedy Girls. You're gonna notice the DX7 bass on there, and you're gonna notice the what else? That go-go swing drum machine thing going on.
A guy that we were doing because we had started doing hip hop shows at the Latin Quarter here in New York, and a guy that we were hanging with down there was Cutmaster DC, and he came out with this Brooklyn's in the House, which was using a go-go beat, you know, with basically triplets, you know, on his beats, and we said, "Oh man, that's dope!" So we started doing it. Also, other cats were starting to do it at the same time too. A couple of years later, of course, they started calling it New Jack Swing, which, you know, basically when people start labeling shit, it's time to bail. You know, okay, they labeled it. Well, we're not doing that anymore. Let's do the next thing.
Yeah.
This had a go-go swing to it. You know, had the DX7 bass. We had Tony Barnett, a guy that we played. Chili B and I had been in different reggae bands and cover bands with. You know, playing guitar. And there's another record we had a lot of fun with. You know, it was the first thing that we produced totally on our own. Dynamic Breakers and Tugga were also through Joe Webb. But this one, we actually went to Sunnyview ourselves, went to Henry Stone, who owned Sunnyview at the time, you know, co-owner of Sunnyview at the time, and said, yo, you know, we got this. You want to put it out? He said, great. You know, we were still in dispute on the Newcleus thing, but we said, okay, well, you know, we can get this out. And he loved it. And, you know, we dropped it, and the record came out. We got a nice little buzz in Billboard. Everybody who heard the record was feeling it, and Sunnyview went under, and that was the end of that.
Sunnyview. And the rest is history, as we say.
We had fun doing this one.
So, Greedy Girls, yeah, the concept being obviously, you know, girls that smooch off their men for money, credit cards, and gifts and so forth.
You don't sleep on Greedy Girls because they got you clocked. They'll be waiting at the check cash around the block.
There you go. There's your little rhyming for the day. that we promised. That I said, yeah, that Cosmo will do a little rhyming for you. There you go. That's gonna have to be it for y'all, okay?
Oh God.
Or maybe not. We'll see.
Here comes the hate mail.
Maybe if we get him another
What
beer,
the hell is that, Cosmo?
a few more beers into it, maybe we'll have a few more. You know,
You never know.
you never know.
Here you go, rap me out to the fam again, man.
That was pretty funny.
Ooh, honey, I saw this nice coat in the store that was just made for me. And I gotta have the money for it.
Oh, baby, this is your fourth
That's you. That's funny. I like that. Sucker. Oh, the last one is perfect. Oh yeah, when we laid it in the studio, we were all on the floor. Oh man, this is funny. Who's doing the scratching? It's a sample. I figured it out the other day. I went and I looked at my 12-track tape. It's the fresh sample, and we did put it on the SP12 and programmed it on the keys. I was gonna say it's too damn perfect, because we had a couple of gaps in our pool that was nice, but that something's perfect. Sucker, somebody commenting. I think they know that something is on that. Yeah. I was shocked to find out. See, one day I found it, because I didn't have a copy anymore. I hadn't heard it in years. And there used to be a site called Audio Galaxy, right? Where you can go and you can find MP3s. One day this is a lark. I literally typed in Green Girls. That shit came up. I said, oh. So you have an MP3 of it. You don't have the vinyl. No, I got the vinyl now. I got the vinyl now. I went to Kareem. Right? He's Lex Love. So he had virgin vinyl. So this is taken from his virgin vinyl. Virgin vinyl. Mm-hmm. Never opened. That's why it sounds so good. Yeah, it is pretty cheap. We took it straight off that. When I bought one of those new cheap marks with the digital output, beautiful. That's the best way for translating stuff from vinyl to digital, man. Just love it right in. Straight into it. Yep. Right into the computer. That's a very new feature, that digital output. Yep. But you know what? You know what I find though? People still prefer 1200. I think it's only because of the name. The turntables that Cenac and Newmark are putting out blow at 1200. They have all these features. Yeah. But I mean, you know what it is? They are feature laden, but I don't know if they're gonna have the reputation that Columbus is for being durable, for being reliable. And that only comes after time. Right, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Because I bought this one, man. It's like three owners had it before me, and it was like shit. And I put a new switch on it. I spent a little money, and it worked. We'll see. We'll see. You know, I have two 1400s. The LED readout. And I bought them second hand because we used to have two 1500s, but they got stolen. I don't know what happened to them. I know one got damaged, and I have it somewhere. 1400. That was probably in storage. Oh, the 1400 to 1500s. It came out before the 1200. Oh no! And it had a digital LED on the pitch control and quartz lock on everything, so it didn't drift. So like you can have it at plus 2.2, no drift, quartz lock. So you hook up, but especially this was just when house music was coming out. You know, we had it from back in disco, and I got good at disco. But when house music coming out, hook it up, go to the bathroom. You know, or when you were mixing old disco records with the drummer, you know, and mess up. You know, because drummers drift. You learn where they drift, and you know, okay, right here I gotta decrease this by 0.5, perfect mixes. Right. I love it. Technology. Yeah, you know those damn drummers, they just, I'm one of them. I'm surprised you're not flaky. Drummers are usually flaky. How many groups are broken up because of you? No, not because of me. It's usually, I'm usually the one that tries to hold it together because I'm the one saying,
we're putting so much time and money into this. We gotta make this happen. And everybody else is the one that just shows up late for rehearsal or walks around and doesn't practice their parts. It was never because of me. I was always, you know, as a drummer, you have to be. Otherwise, nothing's gonna work. The drummer has to be.
No, drummer is the king. This one, no. Sucker.
Yes, but yesterday's shoes are old news. Come on, please.
Okay, alright.
Thank you, baby.
I was cracking up after all of that shit. Thank you, baby. What, sucker?
On the way to Florida, I was cracking up over that. I do see the humor. I sure do. Sucker. I would be like, my credit card, you crazy? That's a sample.
Yeah, let's spend at 312.
Yeah, greedy girls, you better watch out. I like that sucker line in there. Really drives the point home.
Yeah, when we dropped that in the studio, everybody was crying because, you know, we were trying to get the timing just right. And that came out perfect. And all of us, Dave Ogren did the mix on that for us, did the engineering and the mix. And we were all on the floor. That just came out perfect.
I do like it. It's quite enjoyable. I'm going to have to find myself a copy of that on eBay at some. I bet REENO will find it. He'll track it down. I'll track it down. Well, how many copies of that do you even know?
I have no idea.
Less than 5,000? Would you say?
I have no idea. It was Sunnyview, so they might have pressed up a good bit.
With Sunnyview, do you know of any like runs that he did on any of the records? Like
No,
even
they
for the
didn't tell us nothing. We didn't. We got one statement, and that was at the meeting. That was at the meeting where we found out that Joe Webb was robbing us blind. And that was a partial statement. It only showed one quarter of sales from the 12 inches and 1/4 of sales from the first album. So we have no particulars on anything else. Never have had them.
and it was peanuts.
Oh yeah. Well,
It wasn't-
he didn't get paid then.
Even
Because he used that to justify taking money for studio expenses and all that, and say he didn't owe us any money. We were still in the red. Wait a minute, but this is 1/4. You know, what about all the rest? You know, but yeah.
only they know what the numbers were, and
Yeah, if they know, because they don't have them anymore. It's been sold twice since.
yeah. So we don't know who owns the Newcleus.
No,
stuff.
basically, right now it's a dispute because there is no contract. So right now is a dispute. I'll say a gentleman's dispute between us and REENO. REENO has ownership by fact that they bought ownership from. They bought the catalog from Sunnyview. We claim ownership by the fact that we never gave anybody ownership to sell because there are no contracts. Nobody knows where the masters are. So in reality, 9/10 of the law and all that.
Right.
You know, we figure that Joe Webb probably has the masters because he's that kind of scoundrel.
In his bedroom somewhere, probably.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the REENO stuff, don't buy the REENO CD. Buy Cozmo CD. It's much better. It's really a whole lot better because
You can buy them both because REENO does at least pay my mechanical royalties.
mechanical royalties.
They're holding on to the artist royalties. They're not keeping them. They're in escrow. They've been in escrow for years. So, no, I'm not mad at REENO.
It's not REENO's fault, per se.
REENO basically has washed their hands of the whole thing. Oh, we're not getting involved. We're just going to continue to sell this. So I'm not mad at anybody. That's why we agreed to do that album. We did that album with REENO.
Are they still? Is it still moving? Are they still moving?
It's still moving. I think it still does a few thousand per quarter, something like that. You know, a couple of thousand per quarter. But
I don't see it in the stores anymore, though. I think it's
Really?
only available on the REENO website,
I
which
haven't
could be
looked.
good for you.
I haven't looked lately yet.
Yeah.
But please buy ours. ours.
Please buy
ours.
Destination Earth.
There's no denying where the money's going.
Right.
Get it from us.
Not only that, you're getting the music in its best possible light, and you're getting exclusive stuff
This
you
is
can't
true.
that you can't get anywhere else. So please
This is
pick
true,
up this.
'cause most of the stuff that we're playing in the form that we're playing it is not available in that REENO album.
That's right. So you better pick this up. Straight from jamonproductions.com. Go there right now and order your copy before they're all gone. All right, this next track, speaking of the REENO release, this Jam on This, Old School's Back in... Let me not get confused with these two last tracks here. Old School's Back in Session.
Right.
This was rejected by REENO because it didn't fit the old school vibe.
Yeah, they wanted us to sound like how we used to sound, basically, or closer to that. They wanted something old school, and we are not the kind of people that mire in time. We flow with the rest of it. If y'all go on the site and you download, my cousin is King Just, which anybody who keeps up in hip hop knows who that is. And if you go on the site, you can download for free a battle that him and I did just recently, just about a year ago. I don't care. I'm gonna be 90 years old. You want a battle? Let's go. That's where I'm
See
from,
what I'm saying?
man. I'm from the streets of Bed-Stuy, man. Do or die, baby.
Oh, okay.
You know,
See, they were waiting for you to say do or die.
there you go. You know, if I go to drag, you know, I see you set up across the street your speakers. I'll go. I may not be able to carry them, but I'll call up my grandchildren and we'll get our speakers outside because they will still be in my basement where they are now. It's big old folded ass horns, and we will load them up and pump up the sound, and we gonna see.
Oh, shit.
I'm ready to battle. I'll be 99 and battling. You know, so what happened was they wanted more old school, whereas we were on the flow that was happening then. Just like I'm on the flow that's happening now. I don't care. This is me. I helped birth this. I'm going to live it till I die it. You know, so
Well, you know, this
hip hop, baby.
This track, yeah, it has that early 90s vibe to it, but I think it still has a lot of you guys in it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's not like totally new school like they're talking about. It was
Everything
at the time
that I ever will do is going to be me.
Yes.
You know, you adapt your flow, you adapt your style, you adapt your groove, but you don't counterfeit it. You don't change to be somebody else. Anything that I put out, whether it's hip hop, whether it's electro, whether it's house, whether it's drum and bass, whether it's jazz, everything I do is going to be me. I refuse. The only time I ever allowed myself to be somebody I wasn't was on the Spaces to Place album, where they insisted on us doing this and doing that, and I compromised. You know, we compromised with Let's Jam, which isn't a bad record, but it was a copy of Jam on It because they wanted a copy of Jam on It.
Right.
We compromised on Make It Live because they wanted us to do a song with our drummer. You know, and I don't mind those records because anything I'm going to do, if I'm going to hate it, I'm not going to do it. But they were compromises. I want to be a b-boy with something for the kids to rap on, you know, which is a compromise. You know, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'll be like Van Gogh and cut off my hair first.
There you go. What more can we say about that? Well, here's the track. So you be the judge. Is that a guitar sample in there? That wah wah guitar? Is that?
Yeah, that's a sample.
That was a.
Yeah, I used the beat was sampled drums. It wasn't a sample beat, but it sampled drums. Let me see. Bass is played. The guitar is a sample guitar. What I tend to do instead of sampling records, because I want my sound to be my sound. And I did go through a phase in the late 80s, early 90s where I was sampling records. But now what I do is I go out and I buy different sample CDs that are made for people to sample. And then I take the samples and then I change the samples until I get it to the way I want it to sound. Because I like using samples, especially of instruments that I can't play. You know, and using those ingredients. If I hear an ingredient in there, if I can form that ingredient from a sample, I'll do it. But I'm not into just taking somebody else's record and putting stuff on top of it. Unless, of course, it's for a mixtape, like on that battle, which was something real quick. But it's not something I would put out.
Basically summed up the whole music industry of taking somebody else's shit and putting whatever on top.
No creativity, no originality to it, you know? And that's not what we're about. That's not what hip hop is all about. You know, and basically that's what this is. Even electro, it's hip hop.
Right.
You know, but hip hop, if you ain't original, if you aren't creative, if you're not doing it for the love of it, it ain't hip hop, man. It's rap or it's whatever else.
Whatever they call it. Crap. You say crap.
It ain't hip hop. You know, hip hop is about, yo, this is me.
Hip hop.
Don't try and be me. I won't try and be you. This is me. That's hip hop.
Well, with that, let's check out this track that was rejected by REENO, but now you can get it on this CD. Not available anywhere else, right? Because you didn't put it on 12-inch or you didn't put it on any release at all.
No, it's the first time available anywhere.
So you had it on a DAT somewhere. You just said, hey.
Yeah, it was sitting on the side. They rejected it. I said, okay, y'all are stupid.
Well, I like it, actually. So,
oh, I like it too, but I'm just saying they didn't want it, so.
Here we go. That's not a sample, is it?
What? Oh, you just redid the funky dance. That's you.
The original funk mob of the pop has returned. Y'all been
And that. Singing lady. Right away you know it's you. It's not like. I gotta put some more vinyl. I gotta figure out what. That was what it needed. That was, you know, to me, it's true. This was recorded at the old studio? What? 1990. That's an early Pro Tools, yeah. And what was
the bass sound on there.
K2000, Kurzweil K2000.
I knew it was some digital apparatus.
No,
It had to be. You can tell. K2000 came out back then.
yeah,
It's been around that long.
yeah.
Shit. Interesting.
I like the bass on the K2000. I've usually been very select about instruments that I use for the bass, and basically I would use that instrument exclusively for bass. You know, whenever it was, you know, except for back in the days when I went between the Pro 1 and the TB303.
Which, by the way, now goes for $1,200, which is insane.
It was
because
$150
you know,
back then. I had
let's
two
talk
of them.
about this because a lot of the instruments, a lot of the stuff that came out back then, the TB303, for instance, and the 808, both on their initial release did not sell well because they weren't convincing enough as the instruments they were trying to emulate. And what happens is, and this is, Roland put out this brochure a couple years ago that's really cool that I have saved, that the history of the Roland legacy, you know, and they talk about the 808 and the 909 suffered the same fate. They did not sell well initially because, you know, they didn't sound like the Lindrum or the sample drum machine, the digital sample based drum machines like the Oberheim DMX and stuff like that. So they didn't sell well, and they ended up in pawn shops, right, back in the early 80s, and you could get an 808 in a pawn shop for less than $100 and a 303 for like, you know, 50 cents or whatever. And now fast forward, you know, 15, 20 years down the line, and now people are paying $1,000 for an 808, $1,000 for a 303. It's just it's funny how things.
303. I can see it for the 808, but $150.
The 303s I've seen go for more than that, 1,300, and it's a damn plastic box.
Yep.
I've held it in.
It's a plastic thing. It was amazing though.
I held it in my hand.
I lent mine out like a fool, and whoever borrowed them, give them back. Yeah, I'll never see them again.
That 303, man, but I didn't know it could sound that good. See, I've only known it for that squelchy, cheesy acid sound. And that's what these dumb kids
Yeah, because they
are buying
just
it for.
squeezing it to the extreme instead of trying to find the right sound. A lot of people I find are surprised, at the different songs that we used the 303 for the bass for. But what people are really shocked is when I tell them that the sequence on Jam On It, the
Right.
is a 303. In fact, Roland needs to pay me some money behind it. 'Cause, nobody back then was even thinking about using that instrument for that.
No, and I heard that programming that thing was not the
it's tedious.
The sequencer on that is like
it's tedious. It's tedious, but I wrote everything down that I did on it in a notebook. So I got good at programming it, because what happened was when we went on the road before every show, I had to reprogram the daggone thing.
Because it didn't store the.
I guess not, because I remember sitting before every show programming it, so maybe it didn't, or maybe after when the first show on the road I had to reprogram it. I really don't remember.
The batteries.
I remember having to do that. Yeah,
I would throw it against the wall if I had to do that shit before a show.
But back then, see, you
had
live
to.
in a time of luxury. You live in the computer age.
No pun intended.
And that was the closest thing to automatic that I had. Everything else we had to play live. You know? So, oh man. Times have changed, boy.
Yes. And with that new technology, you have a lot of unmusical people making music these days, exploiting the technology and the power of it.
Yep.
Meanwhile, they don't have the musical skill behind it, really, but they're making records and they're making millions off these records, and it's pretty sad.
And I'm not even that mad that they don't have the musical skills behind it. I am mad that they don't care.
No, they don't. They're arrogant about not having it. So look what I can do and make go all the way to the bank with this, and I can't even play an instrument, and look at me.
Right.
And you know what's funny? With all the gadgetry that's there, the tracks sound like shit anyway.
Yeah.
It's not like they're making these soundscapes, like you did. They're making this bullshit that sounds like a 5-year-old could have put it together in some cases. I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of the stuff sounds like no thought or very little thought went into it.
There's no thought in a lot of cases put into it, and in a lot of ways the record companies don't think about it either. So they
don't think about it at all, because as long as they sell records, they're happy, and that's what it's all about.
We exist in. But you want to know how to change that? Start looking for independent people doing their own music and putting it out on the net, and in other ways getting their music out there. And start supporting them, because a true musician is not in it just for the money. I mean, everybody wants to make a living, but a true musician, or somebody who truly loves the music, wants to share, what comes out of his soul with other people, and they will appreciate your efforts to hear them, and as for the rest of them, let them churn that crap out for those who want the churned crap. Some people just like that, but those of us that don't, do the extra work. It's worth it.
On that note, the last track on the CD was the actual new track you did that did get accepted for the CD that REENO put out. And this has more of an old school vibe to it, and you sampled a part of Jam On It in the beginning, and then you went into the Set It Off drum machine behind the track.
Strafe, who made Set It Off, is a very, very good friend of mine, and somebody who I've looked up to for a long time. In fact, Strafe will tell you, because I used to be this kid, because he's 4 years older than me, but I used to be this kid that would hang around in his studio in his different band, following behind his different bands, and before I knew anything about music, I was trying. And he used to just pass off, oh yeah, and I'd give him stuff to listen to. He'd say, oh no, you gotta do better than that, so forth and so on. But he was always a friend of me. He would never not listen to my stuff and never not give me encouragement. And then all of a sudden, he turns around and Jam On It is a hit. He said, wait a minute, he did that? And so he said, wait a minute, I've got to get off the ball. And that's how Set It Off came. He got in his studio and put together Set It Off, and even borrowed my 808.
Yeah, that's the clincher. For those of you who didn't know that, the damn 808 used on Set It Off is the actual 808 used on the Newcleus productions, and that's a hell of a
That's one
revelation
special
there. isn't
808
that?
that somebody in Toronto now holds on to, I think, unless he sold it.
I think I'll buy it from him and put it side by side next to. And Cosmo said my 808 is in better shape than that one. Is that?
Oh
the
yeah,
case?
it's all. Last I saw it, it was all. Well, it wasn't beat up, but the plastic was torn off. It was all scratched up, and even the screws on the boards holding it were rusted. But it still worked.
Did you like programming the 808 even though it's archaic?
Oh, it was tedious.
Well,
all of the rolling stuff was tedious to program.
But you see, when I use it, I don't use track mode. I select the patterns as I'm playing it. In other words,
Yeah, that's how I used to do.
I don't program the song. I just program the patterns and then switch off.
You don't program full songs?
Not on other machines, yes. Not on the 808. I never did the track mode thing.
I did the whole thing because I didn't want it to sound redundant.
But not
So
only
I
that,
did different roles all through the song.
no, you can do that by programming the rolls into this function on the side here. It's called the intro fill, and then you could trigger that manually as it's playing. I'm just saying that the whole pattern change thing.
I'm talking about the programming of it, though.
Oh yeah, I mean I programmed all the fills in separate banks, and then I just didn't use. What I'm saying is, there you got the track pattern mode and song mode, right? Pattern is the individual patterns that you.
So what you're saying is you played it live.
Exactly, I didn't program.
I thought you were talking about programming it.
No, you had to program everything, but I just didn't put it into song mode because song mode is a pain in the ass on the 808.
I found it the other way around.
Programming
the patterns was a pain in the ass because you had to do so many of them. But once you finished all the patterns, putting in the song was nothing.
Well,
then once it was done, it was done. But I don't know. It's so long ago.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We're talking 20 years ago.
I know.
You will notice that I ran from the 808 as soon as by the time the second album came along and went to the RX-11, who's somebody I noticed on the website.
Figured out that
real quick.
But that RX-11, whatever it is, I never played one. It sounds very much like the 707 in the kick and snare. You know, it sounds like the PCM mid '80s sampled, low bit sound, and it sounds similar to the 707 and the 626 or whatever the hell it is over there.
Okay.
Like the PCM sounds of that era are all, they all have that dry kind of, yeah.
I just like the way you programmed the RX-11, was different. Instead of doing the linear programming that you do on the 808 and the 707, having the buttons go along and you press this one and all that one, whereas on the RX-11 you could actually program it live. Mm-hmm. That was what appealed to me most. Got to change the sausage up, man. Got to change your sausage.
Okay. With that, we got this track is the one that Jam on.
Yeah, they asked us to work with Special K and Teddy Ted, who, lo and behold, were friends of ours that we were in the same record pool with, and who we would, when I was talking about the Latin Quarter Nights, we did Latin Quarter Nights with Special K and Teddy Ted, so no problem there. Special K and Teddy Ted came in and said they wanted to sample Strafe, which was fine by us because Strafe is one of my best friends, no problem there. And that's how this came about.
That's how this came about.
Yo, Cosmo, you gonna rock it, right? You gonna do it down, right?
That's Jam on it right there.
Yo, the funk has returned. Newcleus, Cozmo D, Jam on Groove, and the This is the remix.
Now, when Toronto heard this, they said no problem, right?
Yeah, they loved it. They were actually talking about putting it out as a single.
They didn't know that?
No.
That's the Jam on bass line.
We just turned it up.
And you sampled that from
Yeah, I sampled that. I don't have a 303 anymore. I know.
You can probably get that sound or something else.
No, I can, but why when I just sample it?
And that too.
Yeah.
Jam on this and jam on that. Here's the track as we bring that old school flavor back in effect. We'll be cranking up this.
This is, with that, it's old school, but it still has that early 90s kind of something or other.
Yeah. That's a hip house kind of feel.
Exactly, the way you're rapping is more that Doug Lazy kind of, you know. Hey, what, Stomp, remember that? Stomp?
Yeah. Oh, see, I didn't play with my house stuff, because I got house stuff in that era.
No.
So we wait all the time now, right?
There's no such thing as, they knew this was going to be a long show.
But isn't it somebody else waiting to get on?
No.
Oh, okay. No.
After me, when I disconnect, it goes to a little playlist. Oh, okay. So I can take it from as I want. Cool. But I want to get into, alright, cool. Because I'm sure that they'll appreciate what you did after.
Some of them might know a couple of them.
A couple of these?
No, a couple of those.
They're yours. Yeah.
But I mean, some of the people there might know those songs.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
Especially the British.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I might have to, you know, it's too bad you're taking those back. I'd like to copy those.
I'll let you go on for a minute. Sure, you'll take care of it.
Of course I will.
Just sit in the studio.
I'll put them on CD, because they're probably hard to find anyway.
Oh, yeah. So I see them on sale in eBay
You know,
in Gem. In Gem, they go for a pretty penny.
I know. But you see, I'm a collector. I'll pay for my records. I like vinyl. I like having it something on wax because CDs, as you can see, they get fucked up. I mean, especially CDRs, not regular CDs, CDRs. In 2 years, it might not play. Hey, that sounds like you. And those drops there, when you drop the beat out, that's very early 90s. That's very, big that Kane era. It's still very effective.
You know what we do? We got the beats, the bass, and the funky rhymes too. So shake that booty.
Yes, that's Jam on This Party Mix. And that closes the CD, the Destination Earth 1999 Newcleus compilation, which you must purchase. JamOnProductions.com. Go there right now. Buy it. You need it. You need this CD in your collection. And soon, you want to tell us about the distribution you've getting for it?
We have a deal with Rage Media Group. I'm still waiting on a release date. It's supposed to be this month. But hopefully, you know, if they will get off of their cans, it'll be in stores and all over the net sometime this month.
That's it. So go out and get it right now from his site, and then get it again when they put it in the stores. Get multiple copies, all right? Get it for the kids, for grandma, for everybody in the whole family. We all could use a little Newcleus in our life. All right. Now that we've covered the Newcleus material at length, we're going to go into some of Cosmo's, well, I'm not going to call you Cosmo. You prefer Maurice or Ben?
Ben. No,
Ben?
The only people who call me Maurice is IRS. Okay.
Well, that's a joke I use on people. I call people, this is Mike Smith from the Internal Revenue Service. I do that to everybody. It's an old joke. It always gets them to the like,
with your voice too, yeah.
No, I can, believe me, I can fuck with people. Those who know REENO know everything about that. But you did some house productions. This is in the late 80s, early 90s, would you say?
This is 1989. We put a few things out. What we did after we moved off finally from Sunnyview, after the Greedy Girls thing, Sunnyview went down, we hooked up with Morris Levy, who was the other owner of Sunnyview, the other co-owner, his son Adam Levy in Warlock Records. And we put out quite a few things over there at Warlock. Some of them that did pretty well. A group that I'm sure everybody's heard, and I don't want to take but so much credit for, but I will, was PM Dawn. We put their first record out. We found them, they were, believe it or not, being produced by Special K and Teddy Ted. I don't know how we always end up getting hooked and getting cross with them, but they were being not produced but managed by them, and they sent us a demo. We put out their first record, and it got them noticed in England, and we got screwed again. They went over to England, but you know, it's all good. It's all love between us now, you know. But Yeah. Not too long after that, we got sour on the hip hop scene and a lot of things that was happening there, and we fell in love with what was happening in house music. It was much more independent stuff happening at the time. A lot more creativity was being expressed in house music, and there was a lot of freedom, you know, for producer-driven music, you know, which is basically what we were. So we went into house music, and the first house record that we put on, a lot of you guys over there in the UK, if you've ever played house music over there, may know. It's a record by a group by the name of Shalor that I wrote and produced. Actually, I produced it with Chili B in name, because by that time we had basically parted ways. But we were still partners at that time. But this record went on to become basically a classic. Put the second version on, the second mix, second record. That's side A, track 2. The first track is a single release.
So we're looking at the beat down version? That's what we want to hear?
Yeah.
So let's check this out.
I believe it.
I'm going to have to ask you about your sense after we listen to this. It's probably a different era we're talking about. That's a sample? Okay. Or is she really getting busy in the studio? I think I do recognize it. 808 Carl. Maybe gotta be. House music allowed people to stray away from the typical song structure.
Okay, that is the wrong mix.
That's the wrong mix?
Yeah, wrong mix. Kill it.
Kill it? Alright. It's okay, we can do that. We can do that on the REENO show. Is it the first track on the other side?
No, it's the first track on this side. This is the remix.
Alright, I found the wrong mix.
You gotta excuse me, I'm getting old. I'm sorry. That's the remix.
But we don't want that one.
No. The mix as it's known.
Hopefully, this is the one here.
It's gotta be. There we go.
Yeah.
What's that on bass?
That's DM7.
You layered it with something else?
No. I told you, I was no joke on that DM7, man.
So this is you by yourself as a solo artist. There's nobody else really doing anything.
Girls.
But it's your
Yeah. Everything right here and everything.
Vocals are somewhat dry, right, for that era.
Yeah, I like dry vocals. I still do.
What's that pad in the background?
That's probably the AP. Yeah, that's AP.
Some of the sounds I recognize as yours. I would pick up on that, but not the song in general.
Well, like I said, you will always know my stuff with the aura, straight.
Right.
Filling in. You know, I like simplicity and it's filling in with that. Right.
So this is well in the UK.
Yeah. Huge in the UK.
It was a huge underground.
They got compilation after compilation. They're still bootlegging it over there.
Who's this girl? It's just some girl.
It's two girls. Charmel and Lori. One could sing, one could rap. So you hear that? That's the one that can't sing. So with the technology I had back then, I was doing the best I could.
No, it sounds good. There's a lot of house back then, really like the early ones, that it sounded shit. You know, right? You know, it sounded like you sounded like somebody's, you know, bedroom or something.
Yeah. We like I said, everything I do is wrong with you.
Well, what's the next record,
Well,
Mr. Cenac, that we're gonna explore?
I want to play this. My Love Turns to Liquid, which was another. This is another record that did real well in the UK, and in fact, what's his name? DJ Casper something or the other, went and he copied it and did something called Liquid Love as a trance record. Stole all my lyrics. I haven't gotten paid a dime.
Oh, well, we gotta track this guy down.
It's you know, when you get down to dance music, it's so blatant, it's ridiculous. Let's see if I can find some better sounding vinyl for this one here. Let's see. Is that a cat here or a scratch?
That's a cat. You have a cat?
Oh, I've always had cats. I don't have that white one anymore, unfortunately.
She has a white one.
Oh, yeah?
White one is 16 years old.
Oh, God bless him. Yeah, we just had to put our white cat to sleep not too long ago. Some kind of, what was it he had? Some sort of kidney failure. Oh, God.
I don't, you know, I wouldn't have imagined Cosmo as a cat person. I don't know why.
Oh, no, that's what I am. You know why I'm a cat person?
Tell us.
Because I'm not a rat person.
All righty, well.
I've had cats my entire life. The first one, original mix.
First one, original. Wow. What label? Is this your own label?
This is our own label. That's right.
Well, you guys gotta see.
Both of them. That Gertie is
that
my
one
label too. That's right.
You gotta see some of these labels, especially this. This is so. You know what do I say?
Oh, that was done on
So
a
obvious.
Commodore 64.
Yeah, I was gonna,
with a dot matrix printer.
how many copies of this thing did you press?
I really don't remember, but
Less than 5,000, I would think.
we did pretty decently overseas with it because the thing in house music is the licensing.
Right.
So it's not as much as how you press. It's about how many times you license it. And it's been on a few compilations, and was actually on a pretty big compilation from Journey by DJs called After Hours. Like I said, now if I can go find Casper Pound, that's his name. If I can find that bum. Because I think he did decently with his trance record, Liquid Love, because you do a search for it and you see it all over the damn
Well, that sucks. That
he was on DJ Karaoke's compilations, you know. But what you gonna do?
even with the sampling laws, what they are, you can't.
He didn't sample it. She resung it.
Well, even so, you wrote the song.
But she claimed that she wrote it.
Yeah.
The chick that sang it claimed that she wrote it, and when I called him up, she said that she came up with it, and she said maybe she was stoned one night and those words just came back to her. So I went back and I listened to it. No, she got every nuance that we used in the record. Anyway, this is probably my favorite of all my house records that I've done, and Lady E is singing on it, so it's basically a house Newcleus record.
A house Newcleus record.
Or Newcleus house record.
This is the right mix, right?
Yeah.
JXAP there?
Yeah.
You use it for that kind of that pad there. DX100 bass something.
This is from the Push Pull album, Bang the Drums, which is an album that we put out. Basically, it was the first thing that I did on my own, period, for the first time in my life that I put out. And I did what I felt like. At the moment, I was feeling house, and I've always felt jazz. So this was a jazz house album with tribal drums kind of sound, percussion, and all that going on. And the two songs I want to play from this album basically sum up exactly where I was at that point. This first one is Tribal Rhythm.
but that's where it was. It's house, but it's tribal, and mind you, there was no such thing as tribal house back then. Soon after this album came out, all of a sudden everybody decided they wanted to do tribal house. I'm not saying I started it. I'm just looking at the timeline, you know. But tribal rhythm.
What was the name of this track again?
Tribal rhythm.
Tribal Rhythm. You're listening to the REENO Show, by the way. Special guest Cozmo D. Global Funk Radio, y'all. I really, really like that one.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think I'm going to enjoy this CD.
Secrets of the Nile was the most acclaimed of this album when it first came out. People loved it. I've since remastered, because I didn't do the mastering the first time out because I didn't have the tools. We have a lot more tools now, and added extra cuts to the album. And it's actually just about available to release. I just have to do the artwork. You know, it's on sale according to the site, but the artwork's not done. But
Right.
it will be ready and out of the door within a couple of weeks.
Are you going to maybe reissue a couple of those cuts on vinyl? Like,
I'm right now. I am trying to decide, because I have to put some vinyl out there.
Yes, you do.
And I just don't know what. And I appreciate anybody. Just send me an email to holla@jamonproductions.com. Any advice on what to release in vinyl, I would greatly appreciate it, because I'm lost in a quandary. And I mean, of any stuff, of any style, because I need to release some hip hop, I need to release some electro, and I need to release some house, all on vinyl. So any help would be greatly appreciated.
yes. Any help would be appreciated. I'll even volunteer some of my help. But I'd probably just say, put it all out. It's all good. But, you know, you can't afford to do that. That would be real expensive to just put everything on vinyl. You know how expensive that is.
Yeah, it is. Especially since it's so hard to sell vinyl nowadays.
Yeah.
But, you know, us DJs,
Yeah.
there's enough of us out there to make it worth a while at a limited run.
Just don't press 10,000 copies.
Oh,
This
no,
is
no,
2,000 copies.
I don't
and we
have
get
no money for no 10,000 copies.
1,000 copies a release. Make it limited edition, and I'm sure you'll be okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, I did 500 of mine, and I'm still trying to get rid of it a year later. But well, actually,
Has it paid for itself yet, though?
you know, that's hard to say because I lost 50 copies because of UPS.
Really?
They fucked me up. Yeah, UPS is sucks just as bad as Europa does. UPS to me is one of the worst companies out there, but nobody knows how bad they are unless they've really dealt with them. Trying to file a claim with UPS, you just might as well just jump out of a window, because it ain't gonna happen. They won't return your calls once they know they lost your shit or damaged your shit or fucked you up. They will not return phone calls or faxes or anything. It's just the way they're dealing with their fuck ups is not good. That's UPS. And go get the first season of Crank Yankers on DVD, because there's a skit there that pokes fun at UPS. It's classic.
Y'all should have sent it last week.
You all know what that is. Go see. You should see that skit. It's real funny.
I'll go and look for it.
Yes. Well, I have it. I'll show it to you. But anyway, what's the next track we're hearing off this fabulous CD?
This is Secrets of the Nile. It's mellow. It's funky. It's a nice jazzy house jam.
It is on the REENO Show. Sounds like Rolling Toms.
Yeah, all of that's all right.
That's all right? And the triangle, too. That's the cases out of the basement? Todd Terry, the reminiscent beat there.
Yo, yeah, this was more like Todd Terry. Well, we were up there with Todd. Todd and I are good friends. So we were in the same flow at the time.
He's still doing his thing. He's still active.
I haven't talked to him in years, but he's still out there. I see his name all over the place. So.
You want to grab another beer? Go right ahead. I like it.
Yeah. It's very sweet.
Carlos is way extended. still got 22 people on.
Really?
And like I said, out there, it's 3:30 in the morning now. DX7 bass again or no?
Yeah.
See, if it sounds like that, I don't mind. But usually when they play that stock DX7 bass, I hate that shit.
Exactly.
That's what made me not like it.
DX7 was a pain in the ass to program.
Nobody programmed.
But one thing that I learned, in programming anything, accidents are wonderful.
Right.
You know?
Accidents.
I found a lot of good sounds by accident.
You know what this bass sound reminds me of? The CZ101 bass sound. Which was similar
Yeah,
to the way you programmed.
CZ101 was very similar to the DX7. I didn't keep them long though.
Those were, Roto's even harder to program.
Yeah, that's why I didn't keep them long.
I
I bought them because that was before they had the modules. They were perfect, just like modules. You know? As soon as modules came along.
Let's see, what year was this? Someone just asked.
89? No, probably 91.
You got two dates on there, 89 and 91.
Oh, okay, so the 89 was War Party and 91 was when I released the vinyl.
Okay. So it was really recorded in 89?
Yeah, it was recorded in 89. Yeah, because I'm still using SP12.
With 808 sounds?
Huh?
It's like the SP12 808 sample.
Probably.
I wonder.
I don't think I would still have the 808.
No, I don't think. That's an 808.
Yeah, the rim shot. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure it's all SP12. We still have the 808, but I think took it at that time.
Well, he still has it. He sells it to me.
Actually, he sold it to the guy in Toronto.
I'm gonna have to find this Toronto guy. I'll say, I'll give you $50 for that machine right now. Cash!
I paid a G for it.
But he doesn't have to know that. You bought it when it came out.
Huh? Yeah, we bought it when it came out. No, the guy that bought it in Toronto paid a G.
Oh, yeah, but that's...
Because he knew what he was buying.
But you know what? That's the going rate for 808
Yeah, I
that
know.
don't belong to Cozmo. So you
I know, so now it should be worth a little bit of money.
You could have gotten a lot of money for that particular 808 because of what it was used on. You probably could have. I bet you there's some psycho out there would have paid you $4 or $5 grand for that thing.
And even
I'm not kidding.
Even if you signed it,
if you autographed it,
no,
you could have got a pretty penny for that thing.
Yeah.
Even if it's in shit condition, it wouldn't matter.
I wasn't thinking about none of that back then.
You gotta say there are fanatics out
I
there.
can play on the Bang Drums album. I mean, since you're not in a rush.
Wanna play another couple of that CD, the Bang Drums?
Yeah.
No, I'm not in a rush. This has been an extra long show as well, but every minute has been a pleasure.
I've enjoyed every bit of it. Thank you for having me, sir.
Oh,
Only
yes.
part I didn't enjoy was the Jets losing.
Hey, you know, if it were up to me, they would have won. You know, just to keep you happy and keep all the Jets fans.
Football?
No, I would probably throw my knee out or something if I tried to do that shit. But
oh man.
But I'm so glad this went off as well as it definitely should have. And
As am I, sir.
There was no Murphy's Law kicking in tonight. No technical issues that I might have feared. No unforeseen whatever natural disasters. It just went off nice and smooth, and we did what we were going to do. We set out to do, and it went off real well. I'm glad that everyone stuck with me and Cozmo tonight. I see you're all still in the chat room, even though it's 6 a.m. over there, or 5 a.m., whatever the hell it is, and really appreciate that.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
And like I said before, you got to go. Well, I'll let you plug yourself, man, because I'm too tired.
Well, peeps, check us out. www.jamonproductions.com. No hyphen between the jam and the on.
That's right.
Jamonproductions.com. We've got free stuff in the vault, you know, a lot of stuff that, you know, nobody else has ever heard before, you know, like Automan with all the vocals and instruments, No More Running with all the vocals and instruments.
I gotta go check
You know,
that out.
all for free download, including some of the Millennium Call stuff that I'm working on. Every week we're going to have put up something new that we've got cooking coming, and every month we're going to have something rare and unreleased that, you know, nobody else has. And there's a lot of stuff on there we're going to put up more and more. And we're going to make a lot of stuff available for sale. Now, mind you, we're always trying to get deals, but we're always going to sell stuff regardless, because one thing I've learned doing this business for 22 years now is they're all crooks. Some of them are better crooks than the others. Some of them are nicer crooks than the others.
Right.
But they're all crooks. So you got to crook them first. So everybody looks at the Newcleus stuff and say, hey, that's a bootleg. Yeah, it's bootlegged by the creators, by the artists. And there's going to be a whole lot of that going on. And I'm hoping we're going to help to start a trend so that all of the artists that got ripped or stuck or took start doing this, you know, and let them take us to court. They have to explain their actions then. In the meantime, you guys can find a way to support the music that you like and the people who are making the music that you like, and let those conglomerate bastards all cry in their milk. And by the way, share my MP3s as much as you can. And if you buy my stuff, buy our stuff, and want to go up on SoulSeek or anything like that, all I ask is, if you're going to do that, because I know you're going to do it anyway, don't make it more than 128, you know, so somebody can hear it, can feel all the nuance, and then they can go and they can support us as well. You know, this is what we have to do to make the music ours again and get it away from the fat cats in the suits who really don't listen to music. I don't think they listen to music at all. All I think they listen to is the sound of their cash registers. All right, rant over. Thanks, peeps.
JamOnProductions.com. Please buy the CD, buy whatever's on there, and keep the funk going. And once again, want to thank everyone for joining.
And thank you for having me, Reno.
Oh man,
straight up and down. You too, Krista.
This is the high point of my show and everything I've done thus far. This was great. I really enjoyed this. And right now on videotape, we're gonna have the signing, the autographing of my original copy of Jam on It.
Oh,
and we capture it on videotape, and we're still on the radio, so we'll just leave things on while Cozmo signs my original copy of Jam on It. I'll put that on the wall of fame in Spazoid Studios.
Well, you want it on the jacket?
Yeah,
or you
the
want it
jacket.
on the label? On the jacket.
On the jacket is
on
fine.
the jacket. Here you go.
Oh, here we go. Look at this. On the wall of fame. This is what it's all about right here. This is cool. Look at that. Look at that. Awesome. That is the shit right there. Not that we're, like, who cares about Sunny V Records? The fact that you're signing it, that's the important thing. It's not about Sunny V.
Least I can do.
Yes. All right, folks. I guess that's it.
Oh. By the way, every Destination Earth album I will be signing as well. That we sell through the site. I've signed every one that's left. I will be signing every one that's left. If you want some special stuff put on there, just say it, in your email, and I'll do my best to accommodate with that as well.
All right. So go out and buy multiple copies of that right now. Don't let REENO come down
Give
there
it to your kids.
and kick your ass for not buying this CD.
Get it for your grandmas.
If you don't buy this CD right now, we'll hunt you down and
for
make
your cousins. Get all your cousins.
Retribution.
And the punishment will be harsh.
Yes. All right. I'm now disconnecting because Cosmo has to go home. It's 11 o'clock here. I know it's 6 a.m. out there, but, we're both tired and he has to get home and all that good stuff. Want to thank everyone again. Gordy, Mike, Visa, everybody at Global Funk, keeping it real. Thanks for letting me do this.
Easy, y'all.
And I'm out until next week. Later, y'all. Well, this
could have got better if the Jets had won. They were right there to win. It was their game to win. The kicker is the GOAT tonight.
Well, you don't watch sports.
I know, but I
obviously.
feel your pain.
No, you don't.
Well, sure I
Don't
can.
say that when you don't.
I can relate to someone who has a passion about anything, and when there's somewhat of a letdown, I can understand that.